Welcome to Lever Up Your Life. I'm Nate Barger. I went from prison time and bankruptcy to now owning over $200 million in real estate. I want to show you guys all the mistakes I made so you don't make the same mistakes. It's time you create massive wealth for yourself. Guys, I want to welcome Joe Camberato to Lever Up, and he's going to show you guys how you can lever up your life using small SBA, using business lines of credit, and all kinds of other credit options that he has that he can help you to lever up your life. Joe, thank you so much for coming on the show, brother.
Thank you very much, Nate. Thanks for having me, and excited to lever up with you.
Yeah, so you're originally from Connecticut, and you.
Yeah, I was born in the Bronx. I grew up in Connecticut and came to Long Island in high school, and I've been in Long Island ever since.
So what kind of transition was that going from Connecticut to Long Island?
Not too much of a difference. There's a lot of parts of Long Island that are very similar to Connecticut. Still, like that New England, look and feel. They're both really beautiful, great places. Great place to grow up. Great place to raise a family.
Ben Mala. Ben Mala's from there, right? Ben
Oh,
Mala?
really? From
You don't know Ben
from
Mala?
where?
Nah,
I don't
he's
think
a
so,
real
no.
estate. He's a real estate guru, and a lot of times they ask me, "Am I his son?" Or they'll call me the Walmart Ben Mala because Ben Mala got more money than me. He killing it, and he got about $500 million in real estate, and they call me the Walmart Ben Mala. Man, I thought that was funny. So
Nice. That's funny. So he's from Long Island or from Connecticut?
yeah, he's from Long Island. Yep.
Okay, got it.
He
Okay,
got
cool.
out of there. He's down in Florida now, but he's an awesome guy. You guys should watch him on social media. If you're not watching me or Joe, then maybe pay Ben a little bit of attention. Yeah, so you're going to be coming to the conference next. You're going to be coming to the conference, well, I should say this month almost, because September will be here in a couple days. And you have some amazing stuff to share. But I want to know how you got into starting your own company, National Business Capital.
Yeah, so it's been a wild ride. I founded in 2007, so it'll be 15 years this December, which is crazy.
Wow.
And yeah, I was in the residential mortgage business helping. I had a lot of self-employed customers that had a challenge getting a typical mortgage from the bank because they didn't show a ton of income, whatever it may have been. And I started building out this little network of referrals, small business customers from business accountants. And they all kept asking me for business loans. And I didn't understand. I would say, well, why can't you just go to your bank and get a business loan? And they would all explain how it was such a challenge. It took forever. It was a pain. I literally, one customer, 3 people in a month asked me for a business loan. And I was watching all these owners leverage their home equity lines of credit to fuel their companies. So, one customer, I basically started shopping around. I went to a bank. I said, I've got this great customer. It was a catering restaurant, big company here in Long Island.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, the bank laughed at me. They said, we'll never fund a restaurant. And I said, all right, well, can you point me to a lender that will? And I found this private lender. They sent me this private lender, sent me another private lender. Long story short, I ultimately found them a home for their deal. I got them the funding they needed. I watched them grow their business. I watched them, expand that into another facility. And long story short, I said, wow, there's this whole world of lending, private lending, non-bank lending that's out there. It really fascinated me. And I said, well, no business owner should be held back from, growing their company because of lack of access to capital, and banks just aren't the place to be. So it fascinated, me. I incorporated in 2007. I was doing it on the side for, probably 2 years, incorporated 2007 and, went in it full time. I started out of my spare bedroom and then literally, went right into the 2008-2009 recession. That was crazy. That's a whole nother story.
Mm-hmm.
But I fought through that. And then, one deal at a time, closed the deal, reinvested, started hiring some people, started focusing on, just building out processes, systems, people, marketing, accounting, and, grew into, what National is today. Now we have about 75 internal folks, about 25 external people. And
Wow, Joe, that's impressive, man.
and I did that all without, $1 of private equity. I just reinvested, grew the business, and we've helped secure $2 billion now in funding We've done over
Wow.
25,000 transactions, me and my team,
Wow.
at this point,
So,
which is pretty crazy.
what was your hardest? I mean, because people hear that, and I was there in '07, and I went bankrupt,
Yeah.
and I hear
Yeah. I
you,
was,
and I'm like, you're very. I think you're being very humble, because I'm sure that it wasn't just we just did this and just grew. There had to be a lot of discipline, a lot of challenges along the way. So when we tell people that they can lever up their life, one of the things that I don't want to tell you guys is that you're going to have to lever up your mental toughness. Um, and so what kind of things did you have to go through that, quite honestly, most people would have gave up? I mean, you got those stories, right?
yes, 100%. So two key words that you said is mental toughness and discipline. And I think if you think about the word discipline, all great things in your life will all lead back to discipline, right? Like anything good that you're going to do in your life, personal, professionally, business, whatever, it all will
That's
go.
right.
It will all follow right back to
That's
discipline.
right, Joe.
And I mean, listen, I had my house on the line. My house went into foreclosure. I fought through that, saved it. I racked up over $100,000 in credit card debt. 18 months. I went into it with no credit card debt. I had 6 figures of money that I put in the business. I was down to $700 in my bank account. I had my
Wow.
house on the line. I mean, it was crazy,
Wow.
and I was young.
Wow.
And I literally was at this like crossroads. Do I throw in the towel and go in another direction? And if I did that and I would have shared the story, you would have said, "Well, I understand and I get it, right?"
Mm-hmm.
But I
Mm-hmm.
knew I would never be able to live with myself, so I fought through it. I stayed extremely disciplined, and one of the biggest things was my mindset. And I knew in order to get through, because this was a 08, 09. I don't know what was crazier, the 08, 09 financial crash or COVID. I mean, they both were the pandemic. Like, these were both very crazy periods of time that we all had to fight through. Um, and even had to fight through, the pandemic. That was another crazy,
Yeah, yeah, Joe.
experience.
To your
But
point, I say, man, '08 was way worse.
yeah,
I mean, I'm in
I mean,
Cincinnati. We're in the middle of the country. We had nothing. All the businesses were gone. There was nobody to rent. Your renters were gone. They lost their jobs. When they left, you had a $4,000 turnover. They just left their stuff in there. I mean, it ain't like they got a moving truck and
yeah,
moved it. Your place were destroyed. So that was way worse.
it,
But to
it, it-
see that you came out and you thrived, man, that is amazing, brother. But I love that you knew you were down to $700. But
yeah, yeah,
in those moments, Joe, because I got to tell you, man, I tell people like, man, there were days where I just cried, like I didn't know what to do.
yep, yeah. I mean, there's
What?
days where I just sat
Yeah.
and
What
wondered.
did you focus on mentally? Because it had to be something deeper than you, bigger than you. Because if it's just me or you, man, we're gonna give up. What was your why? What did you find your why was in that time?
Well, it's so a few things happened. One main thing that happened was, someone said to me, a successful, smart, business owner, like what do I do? Like, what do I do now? I just ripped through, all my cash, which was a decent amount of money that I saved for a long time, 401k and everything, and then I racked up all this debt. I mean, I was 25 years old. I had, or 25, 26, at 130,000, 150,000 of credit card debt, plus two mortgages. And
Mm-hmm.
and I had my house in a rental property, and I had it for sale, and it fell through because the whole bottom fell out.
Yep.
And then that person moved out and I couldn't get a renter. So I was paying two. Like, it was crazy.
Yep. Yep.
And I just felt like, how am I ever going to get out of this? And so this person was really a mentor, and I said, like what, how am I ever going to get out of this? What do I do? And they said, listen, I have a friend right now that just got told he's got cancer and 6 months to live. He's got a family and kids.
Yep.
And he's like, I don't know if you've watched the news, but in Dubai, there's more Lamborghinis and Ferraris and Mercedes and Maybachs with dust on them because people are fleeing the country. Because I don't know if you know this, but in Dubai, if you don't pay your bills, you go to jail, and you don't get out until you get caught up on your debts, which is like an oxymoron. Because if you go to jail, how do you get caught up on your debts
Yep.
unless
Yep.
some family member takes care of it, right? So the point was, as he said, you're not dying and you're not going to jail. You'll figure it out. We live in a great country. You don't go to jail for some debt, but you don't have cancer, so you're capable. So go figure it out.
Mm.
And that really stuck with me. And I said, holy shit, I'm lying. Like I don't have cancer. It could be a lot worse. And all right, like I got to figure out some credit card debt right now, but I'm not going to go to jail. And
Mm-hmm.
and then I said, I knew that my mindset was everything. Just like in sales, right? If you're positive and you show, positive, it's contagious and that breeds sales, right?
Yep,
So I
absolutely.
knew if I showed up in this depressed state, I just wasn't going to be able to do what I needed to do. Customers, because I had to close deals, would have known, like, I don't want to deal with this guy. He's just negative Nancy.
Yep, yep.
So I just said, hey, I got to check this shit at the door every single day. And I
Mm-hmm.
got to show up and pretend like none of this has happened. I did exactly that. And then besides all that, it was hard work. I worked till 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. I was at the office at 7 a.m. the next day. I didn't go out. I didn't see friends. I worked Saturdays, Sundays. I just grinded it. And slowly but surely dug myself out of all of that, and then reinvested every dollar back into growing the business. And it took 5 to 7 years to really for all of it to come together. And I
Mm-hmm.
think
Mm-hmm.
most people don't get that. When you're building something, especially something from scratch, like I didn't buy a business. What I did, I built now it's a fintech platform that's got over 75 lenders on it. We've done $2 billion in fundings, 25,000 transactions. That didn't exist when I
Mm-hmm.
got started. The word fintech wasn't even invented yet. So I was creating something from zero. I didn't have the luxury of being able to buy a business that was existing.
So
So you have to
explain to
create.
people. I'm sorry. Explain to people what fintech is. They may not know what fintech is.
So fintech is a financial technology, and there's a lot of things that are fintech. So I've taken technology to help streamline and make what was a very antiquated process to apply for money for your business. I've streamlined the process. It's a digital app. We do a secure bank connection, and I've integrated my systems to all these lenders' underwriting systems. So when you apply with me, we can apply to 1 or 5 lenders in minutes, and I can get
Mm.
you approvals in minutes and hours instead of days, weeks, and months. So
Wow. Wow.
I've merged like financial business lending and technology together to make a process convenient for business owners. But like if you hear of like companies like Esurance, or there's even like TD Ameritrade, all of those can be considered fintech, where they're using technology to do something financial.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so we built a business lending fintech platform. But my point was that was non-existent when I got started. So I had to build this thing from scratch,
Yeah, there
and
weren't you
it
couldn't
takes
say,
time.
"Hey, let me just go find the people that built this before so they can build it." It was like that didn't exist. And so
And it took time.
that's the mental toughness, guys. So what I hear over and over in these podcasts and what you guys hear from me, you guys want the recipe to success. He just gave it to you. Hard work, working for pennies, because you worked for pennies, didn't you? Them first years that you were building?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I made
mean,
nothing. I reinvested everything. I made the least amount of money that I ever made. Started a company. I made great money prior to. I was a top rainmaker, in any business I worked in, company I worked in. Was a natural sales guy. I was making way more money. I didn't get back to like break even on my income probably to like years, maybe 3, 4, or 5,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
um, and then it really came together years like 6 and 7.
Yeah,
And
that's what
I
happens,
got to be
man.
honest,
That's yeah, go ahead.
yeah, if you told me when I got started, hey, it's gonna take you about 5 to 7 years. I don't know whether I was cocky or had a lot of confidence, but I would have just said, yeah, right. I thought, yeah, I'll have this figured out in a year. In a year, I'll
Yep,
be humming along.
yep.
I'll be able to make, X, Y, and Z, and it's just not realistic. And
And
even if you go out and raise millions of dollars, like you still got to build processes, people. It's it just takes time to get that stuff
well,
humming.
Joe, which goes back to, one of the things that I want to ask you about. I'm sure you had the same answer. So a lot of people always say the reason that they can't become wealthy is because they don't have money, right? And the reality is, if you're not educated or you don't know how to put this stuff together, then you can't really even, there's nothing you can do with money. So, Joe, what can you do? What can your platform do to help people out who don't really understand maybe how to present their documents a lot of time? It sounds like what you do is you're able to break it down for the underwriter and get it to go through. Because, look, I've had the same problem with banks. They ask for this, they ask for that, they ask for this, for that. Like, what the hell do you guys want? And you get to a point where you say, look, I don't care if I got to pay 200 basis points higher. I'm just going to go deal with this guy because he can get it done. But it sounds like you have a great mixture of both. So what the person is struggling to get a loan, what can you tell them? How can you help them out?
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, it's probably one of the, I talked about, we've got this great technology and process and systems and all the lender access, which is great. But one of the most important things that we do is, we've got great people here. We're #1 top workplace. It'll be 4 years in a row. So when you'll interact with someone here, one of our business financing advisors that gets all the lender guidelines, the products on the platform and business, which is not an easy thing to teach and train. We do a lot of training. When you'll speak with us, we'll talk you through, we'll understand what you're looking to get accomplished in your business, what you need money for. And you need money for two things. It's an opportunity or a challenge. So we'll understand what that is. And then we'll explain to you all the docs that we're going to need. In a very quick conversation, we could tell you probably what you'll get qualified for, what you won't, and why, which is important. And then we'll really handhold you, and we'll collect all those documents, and we'll package it up, and we'll present it to the right lenders. And that's probably the most important thing, because it's, there's a million, you go online today, type in business loan, a million things come up.
Mm-hmm.
So it's even more confusing today because there's too many options. And it's not about getting approved, it's about getting the right approval. And my team will help you and tell you what you need. If you're not going to get approved for something, we'll tell you why, so you can focus on it for the next time. And we'll tell you what you'll qualify for now, and then we'll package all that up, and then we present it to the underwriter on a silver platter. And then they might need some additional stipulations and some different things. We also might get an approval, and we'll go back and negotiate and say, you know what? We just got this approval for, 200,000, can we get this up to 250? They're asking for this step, but hey, look at this. This looks great. Do we really need that? So we'll help. Sometimes we do all these things the customer doesn't even realize.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just come back to them and say, hey, we got all these things waived. Just get us this, this, and this. Or they wanted, to do 200 grand over 12 months. We push it out to 24 or 36 months. We have people that'll come to us, hey, I need a credit line. I need to buy a piece of equipment. And we'll say, no, we can pull an equipment lender and finance it over 5 years at really low rates. We just really come in and act like consultants and advisors, and we explain everything up front. And then we get all the documentation if it makes sense. And we do all that work. We're really like a time-saving machine. We just save owners time and aggravation.
So what is it that you can finance? What is your guys' strength?
We're great with lines of credit without real estate, just using your pure cash flow in your business. We've got great term loan products. We can go up to $5 million without real estate, or B2B receivables, just purely off of cash flow, which is unheard of.
So can you explain that
really
program?
competitive rates.
Explain that program to us.
Yeah, so basically, we really focus on your business, where you are today and where you're going. And we'll really look at your cash flow, like what's happening in your business, how much revenue you're doing monthly. We'll look at how much money you're keeping in your bank account, keeping on your balance sheet. And then based on that, we'll pull in one of our right lending partners. So a lot of lenders or banks are going to want collateral. And there's really three major pieces of collateral. One is real estate, which is a given, everyone knows. The other is big pieces of equipment. And then the third, which most people don't understand, is receivables, like B2B receivables. If you're selling products and goods to Walmart, Target, decent sized B2B companies, you can leverage those receivables and access lines of credit by using those receivables. And a lot of the times banks don't explain any of this stuff to you. So if you've got B2B receivables, we can get you a really competitive line that's evergreen, meaning it just keeps expanding. Like the more receivables you have, the more money you can access. But if you're a customer that's selling B2C, let's say you're selling these water bottles, right? and you're selling them direct to consumer, and you go to your bank and the bank looks at you, you don't have any receivables because you're selling direct to a consumer.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have
Mm-hmm.
money owed from, Target or Walmart. But if you were selling this to Target, you'd have a receivable from Target, money owed. Target will pay you 30 or 60 days later. So if you've got those B2B receivables, it's very easy to leverage those and get you financing. But if you're selling right to a consumer, you don't really have receivables. If you're a plumber and you're going into someone's house, and doing some work and you get paid, those are, it's direct to consumer. You can't, the bank doesn't love that stuff. So if you don't have a lot of real estate and you don't have these great receivables, there's like, banks don't love you. So we look at things differently. We're not a bank.
What's the minimum amount you could do on that?
So if our like bare minimum amount is someone doing like $10,000 to $20,000 a month in monthly gross sales, that's like the minimum amount that we work with, and based on that, we can get you a very small line of credit that's revolving. And then the more that you do in sales, your cash flow is, the bigger the dollar amounts that we can do.
Is there a way to integrate this in, let's say, real estate? Let's say, person A has a construction company that has receivables due from his properties that he's buying. Is that something that, he's got these receivables in the future that are going to be due to him? Or do you do factoring?
So we do everything, so factoring's, a product, but it all depends. Like if it's construction, we'll just look at their construction business. We'll look at how much revenue they're doing, their cash flow. And it might just be easier to leverage that. And then we can give them money to pull out of their business to maybe put down on that next property, if that's what they're trying to do.
So let's say you got a guy that's, buying and holding 20 properties a year. He has construction loans already in place, but he needs to fund these construction loans until the draw comes in.
Yeah, we work with developers like that all the time. The main thing is we want to see, like, all right, if you got 20 properties and they probably have some decent rental income, coming in per month, and we'll look at that. And then we can, use a line of credit or give them a term loan or something that they can access and use on an ongoing basis.
And then what is your minimum amount for something like that? Because we have hotels that are under construction, and a lot of times, we have to put $500,000 up to fund the construction on them. We don't have lines of credit, and then we get our money back after the draw. But
yeah, I mean,
you only got so much money you can put out because we have liquidity requirements, and so it gets to a point where if you got too many construction jobs coming on, we could use something like that.
Yeah, so we would want to see the big picture. How much revenue do you have going on from all of your, whether it's businesses or rental properties or whatever? We'll look at that. I mean, minimum we could do 25 to 50,000. But if you needed a quick $500,000, if you had the cash flow to support it, we can pull that. We don't need to use the real estate as collateral, which means we can move very quickly. And then what we can do is we can structure that on a term loan and give you a period of time to repay it. And then we can also structure some prepayment discounts, in months like 1 through 6. So if you wind up getting the construction money or you get the project, done quicker than you thought, you can pay it off and also save some money on interest.
Oh, wow. Because most of the time, guys, when you're dealing with commercial properties, they want to charge you more fees if you close the loan out early. So that's awesome.
We're the
Joe,
opposite.
that you can do that.
Yeah.
So, your experience, and me and you probably got a lot similar in our personalities, that we just decided. We made a decision. I am not going to fail. I am not going to give up, right? And yes, you ultimately thought that you were going to get there in 1 year, and it took you 5 to 7. But I challenge you guys that are saying, hey, I can't do that for 5 years. Well, what are you doing then? Because most people out here, man, and you know this, Joe, they're going to work until they're 60, 65. They're not going to have enough money to retire. And, the number one regret people have on their deathbed?
What's that?
Not taking more chances. Don't be that guy. Don't be that 100%. Guy. If you got something that you think you are ready to do, you guys just need to get out here and do it. You heard what he said. He just got out here and did it. Now, I'm going to tell you now, with all the tools that we got on social media, man, you can get educated from people that have already done it. Do you do any coaching, or do you have any anything that you can help people get educated in this field on?
So I don't, I have some folks that I coach. I've, a lot of people ask me about this. So there's some stuff that I'll probably be rolling out soon that'll really help you understand more about, financing your business. But the one thing I'll say is just, execution outbeats strategy every single day. And I think I see a lot of people want to just consume more, information, and just they you, you're never going to learn it all or know it all. The only way
Mm-hmm.
that you're going to learn it all, know it all,
Is
just
to
throw
do it.
yourself into it and go do it.
Yep, just to
And
do
I
it.
didn't know. I mean, when I started my company, I was 25 years old. I didn't know anything. I didn't know how to hire someone, fire someone,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, bookkeeping. I had to learn it all, and I learned it all because I forced myself into it. I burned all the bolts in order to take the island, and I literally just I threw myself into it and figured it out as I went. I also did. One of the best things I did was reach out to other proven successful business owners, just local guys that I knew that I saw were like clearly doing something right. And it's amazing, in business, I think business owners want to help other up and coming business owners, and when I've got some, local, young entrepreneurs, locally here where I live that, have reached out to me to say, how do I do this? I love helping, other people. And I think if you just ask, people are very help, but you just got to go and do it. And don't try and sit there to get so educated, because you can have a Harvard business degree, but if you don't, until you get thrown into a company and starting a company or whatever it is that you want to do, there's you won't be able to figure it out until you do it.
That's right, man. I mean, you could sit here, you need to get some education before you move forward, but ultimately, if you're not going to do anything with that, then why did you get educated in the first place?
That's right.
And
Taking that information that you need, and it is smart to, to pay for the right information and avoid mistakes. If you can pay
absolutely.
for the right information, avoid mistakes and fast, because all you're doing is when you information, though, if you're getting the right information, you're fast forwarding time and you're avoiding mistakes. And
Yeah, it's like you're
and
skipping through the pond, right? And you know that's an alligator. Don't jump on that head over there, right? I got to get to the
Yep.
other side, but all too often, I think what he's saying, guys, in order to lever up, you got to quit worrying about the circumstances. Look, there's gonna be hard nights. There's gonna be times when you want to give up. There's gonna be times when you cry. There's gonna be times when you question your sanity, when you question whether you should go back and work for somebody. But ultimately, if you do that, you only end up in one place, and that's working the rest of your life to make somebody else wealthy. And then probably around the age, I don't know what it is. If you live long enough, you're going to start worrying, man, I don't want to live too much longer. I'm about to run out of money. But when you build these systems out like Joe's done, like so many people have done, to lever up their life, the money just grows as you get older. And the money it snowballs, and you get more and more and more and more, and you can enjoy life. So get out here. What he's saying is take a chance on yourself. If you have a business and you know that you want so much more out of life, you got nice revenue coming in. You want to leverage that to do real estate? Get a hold of Joe. He can help you out with that. He knows how to put a package together. He doesn't care if you've had problems with the banks before. Banks don't necessarily understand outside the box stuff. He can put that in a box and give it to the bank or to a lender and get you guys approved with a higher likelihood than going to a bank, right, Joe?
That's exactly right. And if starting a business isn't for you, then that's okay. Then hustle and do what you can and wherever it is that you're working, but you still got to focus on other investments outside of what your job is, outside of your 401k. You got to get invested in real estate and get invested in anything, but you got to work hard to build those other, investments that can compound and grow your money, because you're exactly right, Nate. 65 is going to come fast. And the
Yep.
reality is we're living longer. If
Mm-hmm.
people living to 100 years old, like I know 5 people right now that have grandparents that are over 100 years old.
Wow.
So imagine if you live to 100. It's 35 more years past 65. You're going to need, that additional income, and revenue, in order to just, to live and enjoy life, especially later on, and to outbeat inflation.
Yeah, outbeat inflation, and then you don't want to depend on the government to pay you.
Correct.
And then ultimately, man, guys, if you get out here and you take a chance on yourself, you are in charge of whether you succeed or fail, ultimately. Because I can tell you, and Joe's going to tell you, that you will fail time and time and time again. That doesn't have to be your final destination. See, Joe failed. He had $700 left. He didn't stop. I went bankrupt. I failed, but I didn't stop. So you got to keep pushing, guys. And I'm just here to inspire you guys, to tell you, man, you have to lever up your life. Nobody's going to knock at your door and do it for you. And you hear, Joe is probably a great story. You just touched on it. But it's amazing to know that you had $700 left, brother. You were in foreclosure. You were ready to throw in the towel. And then you had a mindset shift because he realized, you know what? I'm not going to jail and I'm not dying right now. I don't have cancer. Wow. What a great life I have. What a great life I have.
Right.
And he probably comes home and people looking at him crazy because he's happy. And they're like, but Joe, your house is in foreclosure. See, it's all mindset. Joe could have never got past that if he would have let it weigh him down. So if you're one of those
100%.
people today that's letting that weigh you down, take Joe's story. Look, let Joe's story. Now, Joe, what's next, man? You've done over $2 billion in transactions for people. What's next, man? What else do you want to achieve in life?
Right now for me, it's really loving watching my kids grow, and my family.
Yeah, how old are the kids, Joe?
Really, my son will be 3 and my daughter 7.
Woohoo!
So a lot of fun there, a lot of craziness happening at home. But I really like, for me, that is to continue to grow and scale the business, and really I want National Business Capital to be a household name. When you own a company, you think of business financing, people to think of National Business Capital. So just really continue to focus on doing what I'm doing. And just to what Nate was saying, I mean, listen, it hasn't been easy, growing a business. There's constant things, challenges that, you're always overcoming, but that's life. And no matter what
doing. That's right.
So I just expect there to be challenges. I don't hope there won't be, because I know there will be. And they all lead, they make you stronger, and they all lead to something else. But I've been doing this for 15 years. I feel like I started.
Yeah, and me too, Joe.
Which is really
I've been doing real estate for 17 years, and I feel like I just started. And I look back and I'm like, wow, 17 years? But time flies, guys, and you will get there really, really quick. So, Joe, you're going to be speaking at our conference next month, man. I can't wait to see you there, brother. I can't wait to meet you in person. Is there any special water? You one of those people you're like, special waters? What do we need to have there for you, Joe?
Oh, listen, I see you got the special Fiji water behind you, so I'll take one of those Fijis. Just load me up with the big Fijis. I'll be all right.
So what do you do in your
blue peanut M&Ms only?
Blue peanut M&Ms. All right, you guys get a case of them for Joe. All right, they probably gonna be melted just because the conference is gonna be hot, baby. But so what do you do in your spare time, Joe? All this working that you do and grinding, and I know you work, and you probably you didn't say it, but I know 16, 18-hour days, 7-day weeks. You put that time in, right?
Yeah, 100%.
But ultimately, you put that time in. Your kids don't really have to do that, do they?
Listen, if they're going to want to be successful, they're going to absolutely have to do that. I'll help, coach them and help, maybe help them avoid as much landmines as possible. But, I'm of the belief that, I don't plan to give them, anything. I'm sure they're going to live a life, but I want them to, get out there, earn it. And I don't even want them to be really a part of my business. I want them to go figure out their own thing, and I don't want it to be, easy for them. I want them to learn and grow. And, that's really, important to me. And I'm looking forward to teaching them. And, especially as my daughter's getting old now, I'm already having talks with her about money. We
Wow,
talk
that's
about,
great. That's
when I talk
great.
about, it's not about saving money, it's about investing money. That's the conversation I'm having with her already. And,
Wait.
it's
You
already,
said something huge right there. Because almost all Americans tell their kids, you got to save your money. But
got to
I
invest
get
your
around
money.
these the people that have these mindsets that just understand money. You didn't say that your daughter had to save money. What did you say she had to do?
She's got to invest money.
Invest money. Because saving
Yep.
money, guys, is ultimately, you're killing your money. You're killing your money, man. Your money's dying. It's drowning over here. Inflation's killing it. You lost 10% of your buying power last year. If you had $1 million in the bank, you got 900 grand in there right now. If you bought $1 million piece of
Exactly
real
right.
estate and you didn't even leverage it, that piece of real estate's probably worth $1.2 million now. See the difference? That's $300,000 difference. We're not even talking about cash flow. So, but Joe, how did you learn all this? What kind of how were you raised up? What kind of family dynamic did you have growing up as a kid?
Well, I didn't really come from, I didn't come from money, and my parents got divorced young, so I lived with my mom, then I lived with my dad later on. My dad wasn't afraid to talk about money, and was always, great at, making things happen. But I just think I went off on my own. I was very focused on, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to be successful. And, when you really, look around and just kind of looked at and studied like different successful people, anyone you look at is either, they're invested in real estate, whether it's businesses, whether it's diversifying their money in a, stock portfolio. But, all successful, wealthy people are constantly, they're using money as a tool, and they're trying to always compound their money. And, when you really look at anyone successful, it's not, some people like hit it big with one big thing, one big business. But even when that happened, they took all those earnings, winnings, money, whatever you want to call it, and put it into, probably multiple other things. But, you see anyone who's wealthy, they've got a real estate mix, they've got a business mix, they've got, they've got multiple things, happening. So, I really, I mean, there's so much information out there today. You can learn so much. And I put a lot of time into reading books, into going to conferences, just like the one that we're going to do, in just a few weeks. And I took the time to, invest in myself. And there was times where I started to really, do really well. Um, and I see a lot of people, they start to do well and they just instantly go into like party mode. They can't help
Yeah.
themselves. They like lose that discipline.
Yep.
They make some money. They're like, oh my God, like, what am I buying? What am I doing? And I was always very disciplined, even from a young age, to like save it, invest it into something, buy a, stock. I bought my first rental property at 21 years old.
Wow.
I
You
mean,
still got that?
like, no, so I don't have that one anymore. After 0809, when the crash happened, I got out of it. I wish I still had it, but I've gone into other things, since then.
That's a
But
common thing that everybody I know that has real estate or had real estate said, I wish I still had it. And if we all know
yep,
that 90% of millionaires became millionaires through real estate, whether it was leveraging it, getting business line of credit to start their business, or owning real estate. Why is it that we
yep.
chase so many different things in life? Why do you think more people don't focus on just doing real estate?
I don't know, man. It's funny because sometimes people do something like to buy a property, to rent it, it's profitable, it works, and then they're scared to do the next one. Or even anything like in a business, like you even your own business, you do something, it's working, and then you're afraid to double down on it. I don't know. It's very interesting why people don't like see that something's working and just keep doing it. I think life moves fast. There's a lot of stuff happening today, and I think the years just rip by, and and if you got family and stuff, like you really got to maximize your time, and focus, and in order to get these things done. And I think, yeah, I don't know. Today too, we live in a world where it's life is good. I don't know if you've
Mm-hmm.
traveled outside of the country, but we've got it really good here. So it's very easy to just kind of go through the notions, where it's very easy to get a job in a lot of different places,
Yep.
to make
Yep.
enough money to and enjoy life,
You
have
start
some
a
fun.
business right here on your phone right now. You can
So
get business lines of credit. You can get your LLC. You can get your EIN. You can go to Joe. You can get funded for it. I mean, look, guys, if there's so much opportunity in the United States, like you said, me and my wife were in Ukraine last year in Kiev, and
wow.
I don't know what we tipped this girl, $100 or whatever. We were there for 3 hours, and she started crying, and she said she couldn't take it. And I said, well, what do you mean? And we didn't realize how much money that was to her until I think we stuck one of our cards in the machine to get money out, and we had like 3 rows of money on there. And I was like, holy crap, man. So they only make $220 a month over there.
Yeah.
And that wasn't like a third world. That was Europe. That's Eastern Europe. And have you ever been to Ukraine?
No.
Man, absolutely beautiful place, man. We went to Chernobyl too, but to what Joe's saying, there is so much opportunity here. We don't know it because we're born here, though, a lot of times. So,
Spoiled.
What'd you say?
I said we're spoiled.
We are super spoiled. We are. So, talk about spoiling. I know we all like to spoil our kids, and we got to balance it a little bit. So, what is it you like to do with the family?
We love. I like taking. We have a cool place by the house, by the water, with a bike path. So we, go out, and the kids with the bicycles. My daughter loves art, so there's always painting or something going on, in my house. My son just loves to climb on anything, so I try and keep him.
He's at that age.
Active. He's on everything, so just trying to keep him active and save his life from jumping off of things. And we really we're a very active family, so we like getting outside places, bicycle, hiking, take walks, and just really we just get outside and active with the kids.
Well, Joe, man, I want to thank you so much for coming on. How can people reach out to you? I know you're going to be at the conference next month. They can see you there if you guys want to come see Joe speak and tell you guys what fintech is all about and how you can use that, how this is the future of financing. And he is one of the pioneers in the industry. He owns National Business Capital, and that will be a household name if you haven't heard about it already. How do they get a hold of you if they want to apply?
Yeah, so you can go right to my website, which is nationalbusinesscapital.com. If you want to follow me, learn more about me, and see what I'm up to, you can follow me at Grow by Joe on YouTube, on Instagram, and on LinkedIn, which is at Grow by Joe. There's a little imposter out there that's been using my name at Grow by Joe's. We're in the middle of taking him down, so don't follow that guy. But it's at Grow by Joe, and I'm always putting out fresh content, just talking about all different lending products for your business. And I've got a great team here. So if you reach out to us, just want to have a conversation. We're not a salesy place. We'll talk through it with you, let you know what you need, and when the time's right, we'll help make it happen for you.
Now, Joe, where is that imposter at? Because we get them too all the time on TikTok and Instagram. Where can they go? Okay, so on Instagram, what's the name of that person? The fake one?
It's Grow by Joe. So you don't want to. Yeah, he put an S after the Joe. So don't go see that guy.
Grows by Joe.
Yeah. So if you follow me, it's Grow by Joe.
So guys,
J-O-E.
if you can go report that guy, Grows by Joe, because they're out here. They probably got a picture
Grow
of you.
by Joe's. Joes. That's that. The imposter is Grow by Joe's.
Okay. Grow by Joe's.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, well, Joe, thank you so much. Don't delete the wrong Joe. Don't report the wrong Joe. Report the right Joe.
Yeah. That's right.
All right. Well, thank you so much, man. I
Awesome.
look forward to seeing you. You let me know if you need anything at all, brother. I look forward to meeting you.
Good stuff. Same to you. Look forward to seeing you guys at the conference. Make sure you sign up, get out. It's going to be awesome.
All right. Thank you, brother.
Thanks for listening to Lever Up Your Life. If you could do me a huge favor and go lever up my reviews, leave me a 5-star review. I appreciate it. And if you guys want to keep the conversation going, reach out to me on Nate.Barger on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And get in our free Facebook group. We got over 200,000 members. BRRRR Invest. We'll see you in the next episode.